Hello and welcome to my channel on human design. I'm Richard Beaumont. I've been in human design for 25 years, 20 of those years training professional analysts to do a good job interpreting charts. Today I want to look at the theme of gratitude. It's a theme that is not often talked about, and there's a lot of sentiment in the world right now which does not have a lot of gratitude in it. So I thought I think it would be a worthwhile thing to have a look at. So let's have a look. What is it? The ninth gate in its sixth line is the line of gratitude, and the ninth gate is a gate of focus. It's an energy, it's a sacral power to be able to focus on the small details. And it carries within it a great intensity, especially if it's connected to the 52 underneath. But even if it isn't, it carries this intensity. It carries this this power to go into the nitty-gritty of whatever it is. Now, if we look at the hexagram itself, it is a very yang hexagram. So human design includes within it the knowledge and the wisdom of the ancient I Ching, where there is these 64 chops, images that have a straight or a broken line. And that's it. It's a binary wisdom receptacle of great worth. So fixed or broken. And when you've got a lot of fixed lines, they're yang lines. When you've got the broken lines, they're yin lines. So here we have something with 5 yang lines. It speaks about its strength in the fact that they're yang lines. Gratitude as a frequency is the 6th line, as I've said, which is kind of above the hexagram. It's not so much into the focus. It's more into the ability to focus on something that's really worthwhile, if I put it that way. And I think it's a fascinating attribute to examine because it tells us a lot about how we can receive gratitude and be in a grateful movement through our lives. The blue line in the interpretation in the encrypted code in the Rave I Ching says, the joy which comes with accepting small rewards for small victories. The power to enjoy the concentration process. The moon exalted, where the power of the small nourishes the right perspective. And this is in its exaltation, nourishing the right perspective. Now, this is an attribute that I have in me. It's something that I know well. It's something that's conscious in me. And I'd like to try and describe this for you. In my work, I often get involved with detailed work, whether I'm marking student papers or doing the accounts or looking into the depths and the details of a chart. And sometimes I have to get involved with things that are really quite long term. And I think about this really strongly in terms of when you're dealing with long-term projects, or you're dealing with something where you can't just do it and get it out the way, that you have to keep going back to the details and make sure that it's correct and accurate. There is this wonderful gratitude that comes when you finish the step that you're on. If you have this in your chart, in a fixed sacral, it's saying to you, one step at a time, one step at a time. Know that about yourself. You're better off doing one thing at a time really well, and then getting through that, rather than trying to deal with a diversity of things and doing it in a half-assed way where there is no satisfaction. So doing one thing at a time, you get to the end of that stage of it. Yeah, there may be another 8 stages to go. And yet being gratitude, being nourished by the perspective of, I've got through that. That part is now done. The feeling of tingles and warmth that comes over you when you finish that final full stop, or you get to that final ingredient and you've completed that part of it. It's like, yes, it's a feeling of satisfaction that that much is done, and you don't worry about the next lot until the next time you enter in it. It's good to have a break. It's good to understand that if you can get to the end of each step, just breathe, go get a cup of tea, come back to the world, get out of the focus, enjoy the expansiveness of not being in that detailed focus. Breathe, come back to the normal, unfocused way. Is also a very nourishing way to do it. I usually go off and get a cup of tea. So there's ways of dealing with it. Now, if you look at it from the detrimental side, it is no single step is of value until the journey is over. The energy for expression that cannot find joy in the process until it is complete. So a personal example for me is if I'm doing my accounts, and there's so many figures, and each entry contains about 15 keystrokes, and the enormity of it. It's like, if I stop anywhere along the way, it's still got all that to do, and usually there's a deadline. So it's falling into that detrimental side. So in that sense, when I'm doing accounts, I'll go, okay, well, I'm going to finish this month, and then we'll take a break. It's something to focus on. It's a future projected circuitry. It's within future projected circuitry. So it is a leading somewhere. Think about the sixth line in its leadership qualities. And think about the logical process, which is all about future projection and where we're headed, and you get a good feel for that. So gratitude is flipping from one to the other, and if you find yourself dealing with something and you just can't focus on it, and that is the case for many people, the harmony of this attribute is in the straw that broke the camel's back, in the 9 line 3, because 3 and 6 have a harmony. So this is when you're trying to focus and you do so much, and then you just can't, and it's like, can't deal with it, can't deal with it at all. It can cause physical collapse in people if it's read in the chart and being overused in a particular way. Just can't deal with it. So gratitude is the wisdom of that. Gratitude is being able to come to the point where you can stop the stage, coming to the point where you can be grateful for what you've done. So in terms of my example with the accounts, maybe the month has got too many things in it, and I don't have the time or energy to complete the full month. Well, then I'll aim for the middle of the month, or I'll aim for the 21st, or I'll aim for something that I can reach, and then pause to be able to feel that nourishing effect of the perspective of knowing that that much is done. Okay, so 3/4 is done, not the complete thing, but that's okay. That's okay. That's fantastic that the energy has been used in that focus to be able to achieve that small victory. People are very often wanting to go for the big victories, and they want to get the big this and the big that. Well, there's so much in the small victories. It's something that builds your sense of self-worth in being able to get to this step, and then to get to this step, and then to get to this step. It doesn't all have to be done in a rush. Gratitude brings with it the sense of patience and the value of patience, because you can see the progression as you go through one step after another. So look at your life and look at what you've got to be grateful for, and look at the projects that you're doing, and think about what it's like to break them down into steps and how that may help you. Think about what it's like in your own process. Everyone that comes into human design, who really comes into it, has a tremendous sense of gratitude that we have this wisdom, that we have this knowledge, that it is verifiably true. What a blessing. What a blessing. But if you're on the goal to try and get to the, I want to be fully awake and fully enlightened and really I want to be my ultimate. Well, good luck with that. Good luck with that, because you're going to have to start from where the hell you are. You start from where you are, and each small step along the way, you get further into perceiving the wonder of it all. But it doesn't just happen. And it does need your dedicated attention to yourself and your own process. It's not just given to any idiot. It is given to those that are dedicated to really want to come into their authenticity. It takes a certain amount of intensity. It takes a certain amount of dedication, and you are greatly rewarded in the process. The rewards are ineffable. There are so many, and they are so diverse. But you really only know that if you use that power and use that energy to focus in on these details, the details of yourself, the details of your chart, the details of whatever's going on around you in your world, not just the projects you're doing, but also the situations you find yourself in. Let's look at gratitude in another way. Let's look at it where it is in the stream, the logical stream. 52, the gate of the pressure for not doing anything, for holding that tranquility, being a base in serenity for the focus to happen, for the concentration to happen. And gratitude in the 9th gate goes through to the 5th gate. This is a gate of rhythm, but it's also a gate of timing. Think about what it's like when you're really focused on something and the time just whizzes by. You get to the end, it's like, wow, all that energy, all that focus, and it is now, the time has whizzed by. It wasn't as painful as I thought it would be. And I want you to see what happens when you have the results of your focus that you've got to through these steps of gratitude. If I give you an example, on my website, you'll see the personal advanced report. And I took on this report in wanting to bring to people the best interpretation I could bring for them to understand themselves. And in doing so, I decided the only way to do it for me was to enter upon the struggle to describe each gate in 4 different ways, whether it's black or red, whether it's in an open or a fixed center. And so that was the intention that I entered into it. And what had happened was that I had actually begun a track to be able to have 256 different descriptions within the gate terminology, which was not easy, and it was not quick, and I had no idea how long it was going to take. And I was wrong when I even guessed. It was over when it was over. But I had to surrender to that process. And each step along the way, each gate completed was, okay, I don't have to think in that way anymore. Now the next one. And bit by bit, the gradual movement, as logic often is, the gradual movement towards eventual completion. And the result of that focus has brought a lot of gratitude from people that have bought the report, because they don't have to do it. They don't have to go through all that agony in thinking about things so intensely for so long. It's already there for them. So there is always the benefit of sharing in logic. If you've really gone into it and you've got something that can be of value to others and to everyone, then there's also the gratitude in being able to share that resource, to be able to feel that it's doing benefit for people, and also the benefit that it does do from the person's side. So there are many things that gratitude leads to, and usually it leads to greater functionality and to more acceptance of being in the flow that we're in our lives. There is so much reason to be grateful for so much that you have in your life. Let that in. Let that in. It really does help, and it helps everything. Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, please like and subscribe and share, and I will see you again very soon. Bye for now.